Hi guys, Gráinne here again with part 2 of lesson 1 flow simulation. So last time we put on all the lids on our part and we then created our boundary conditions and our goals for our part. The next step is to run our project. So we right click on project and run. Run. When we do this, we'll get a new pop-up on the bottom of our screen telling us it's our project solver. So in this, it goes through our whole solver, preparing the model, meshing the model, and telling us exactly what it's doing. So in here, you can then click on your goals. Once it's loaded through a small bit, you can click to see the progress in your model. So just 1 second and it will mesh, and I can then click on my goals to see what's going on. I can now click on my goals. When I click on my goals, I get a list. So my list of goals is up here. I also get a warning saying a vortex crosses the pressure opening. We'll look at that later. I can also click on my graphs to have a look at what graphs apply to me. So here's my inlet surface goal volume flow rate. I can see my solver is finished, so I can go back to my part model. Back in the part, we can look at the results now. We can do cut plots, surface plots, flow trajectories, particle studies, XY plots, goal plots, and many more. So to begin, we're going to do a cut plot. I right click on cut plot and go insert. Before I do this, I want to go up to my flow simulation drop down menu and change my model to transparent. I want to choose my transparency. So I just have to go into my flow simulation, down to results, and go to display. In display, there's a transparency tool. If I click on the transparency tool, it brings up a slider motion in which way I want, how transparent I want my part. If I leave it at 0.75 and click OK, it will make it 75% transparent. But you can still see the model. From there, I can do a cut plot. If I go right click and insert cut plot. For this particular model, I'm going to use my top plane. So once I click my top plane, you can see exactly where it goes through my model, and I want to see my pressure at 10 levels with contours. So if I click yes, it's going to take a second to run through, and then it will show me my cut plotted pressure at those 10 levels. I'm now going to hide this cut plot and do another one. So I'm going to right click again, go insert. I'm going to use my top plane again. But this time I'm going to use my velocity. I'm going to clear sections, top plane, contours is still fine. I'm going to go for velocity and I'm going to go for 50 levels. So you can see with the velocity throughout the model, where the red bits are is where the flow is under stress. You can also do an animation of the cut plot. If I right click and hit animate, I'm not going to do it in this video, but the possibility is there. You can also go back and edit the definition of your cut plot. So if I go in here, I can change from contours to vectors or have both. So when I hit vectors, you're going to have small arrows throughout your part. So I'm going to hide my contours and leave my vectors on just to show you how it works. So here are my vectors all through my part. If I zoom in, you can see the little arrows and what direction they're going and how they're reacting with the bends and curves in your part. From there, I'm going to hide this cut plot and I'm now going to move on to a surface plot. If I right click on surface plot and insert, there's an option in here to use all faces, which I would like to do. I'm also going to do contours on the pressure in the part. If I click yes, it's going to take a second to run, and then my part will appear multicolored with the contours. So you can see where my flow is under stress and where the pressure is built up in my flow. For the next part of my post-processing, I'm going to do some flow trajectories. First off, I'm going to hide my surface plot. I don't need to see it anymore. If I right click on flow trajectories and insert, it brings up my flow trajectories manager. If I click on my flow simulation analysis tab, it brings up my tab with all the information from my flow. So in here, I'm going to select to do static pressure 1, which is this guy, in my selection. It's going to select face 1 on lid. I'm going to do 16 points and the pressure. I can also change these pipes to lines with arrows, bends, spheres. There's a number of different options in there. I'm then going to click yes. In our results, we saw about the vortex. This is what it means. There's a lot of turbulence in here and scrambling with the pipes. This is where your flow simulation is very strong and shows you what can happen. From there, I'm going to hide my flow trajectories and then I'm going to plot an XY graph. So I'm going to hide this. I'm going to go down to XY plot. I'm going to right click and go insert. I already have a sketch done for this, so I can select it, sketch XY plot. And I want to see my pressure and my velocity throughout the XY plot. I can click show and it brings up a table down here of my pressure and velocity. However, I can also export to Excel. And it will open up your Microsoft Excel and bring the graphs with it. This means you have the ability to change and play with your graphs. So you can change the color or the name or anything in here. You can also save them as a separate Excel file. I can now X out of my XY plot and I can now do a surface parameter. I'm going to insert. In my selection again, I'm going to open up my flow simulation analysis tab and I'm going to select inlet volume flow. I want to select all for this. I can have the same options here as I did previously. I have show and I also have export to Excel. So again, I can export these to Excel and they'll show me exactly what's going on in my simulation. I'm now going to go back to my part and X out of my surface parameters. I can also add in a goal plot. If I right click and go insert, I want to apply all my goals. I can export them all to Excel. And it'll open up individual graphs for every single goal in your simulation. So I can click yes to my goal plot. I can save them externally in my Excel, but I can also save all my results here. That's the end of lesson 1, and please follow us on YouTube and Twitter.